Welcome, thanks for joining us here. I'm Lisa McGinty, I think she just introduced me, so we're good. I'm pleased to be up here, see everybody in the audience. As Craig said, this has been a long time in the making for us, so we're excited to have our second event that really supports our overall mission that we've been dreaming about for a while now. Before we begin demo day, I want to bring up a special guest to have a little fireside chat up here to talk about his experience as a young startup and with demo day at our last event. Chris Kirchner, please help me welcome him, CEO and chairman, co-founder of Slink, a young company that's revolutionizing. Go ahead, bring it up. Good to see you. He's revolutionizing the way that companies interact and exchange value through the global supply chain. He's got some pretty interesting things you're doing out there. You've grown pretty rapidly since you were founded in March 2017. A couple questions. As the founder of a high-growth tech startup, what's the biggest challenge you faced early on and the most important lesson that you've learned that you could share?
Well, a couple challenges. One, for me personally, I was an outsider to the ecosystem in San Francisco. We're based in San Francisco, obviously. There's a lot of startup and a lot of software companies in the Bay. So being an outsider to that ecosystem, understanding how it works, how the founders interact with the investors, who interact with then customers, and some of the, for us being an enterprise company, the innovators from the large corporations around the world that are in the Bay. Just figuring out how those pieces work together was a big piece of it. And then specifically for us in logistics and in the supply chain, when it comes to investors, we just saw some that do know the space, but there are a lot that don't. So we were partially educating people on what we were doing in addition to sharing what we were doing as a business. So it was, I guess, understanding how to be patient was a big challenge early for us and for me personally.
No, interesting. That's actually a really good point because it is such a new and emerging sort of space for a lot of the investment community. Yeah, for sure. So you participated in Demo Day at Transparency 18. You took top honors as one of the best in class as voted on by the audience. What did that mean for you and for your company?
It meant a lot. You always have this bias as you're building that you're building something pretty cool, right? And so we were very excited about it, but it was the first time we really showed it to a large group of people. We'd shown it to customers and worked with customers, and the people aren't going to tell you it sucks in person, right? Right. So showing it in public, you really kind of open yourself up to reality. Yep. And so we were pretty nervous going into that day, but it worked out really, really well, and thanks to a lot of you who attended, who voted for us. We really appreciate the support, and it was a great day. Yeah, and it did a lot for us in building momentum this year. We've tripled in size as a company from a headcount perspective since then, and so it was a catalyst for massive growth and just recognition that we existed. Yeah. It was pretty cool.
I remember coming down to the networking area to try and catch a breath with you and talk for a minute, and you were 10 people deep trying to talk to you at that time after you guys presented, as were most demo companies at that time.
Ran out of business cards very, very quickly that day.
Yeah, it's a good experience, yep. With the emergence of innovative technology companies and solutions in the industry today, it's pretty exciting and astounding, the volume that we're starting to see. What areas of the freight ecosystem do you think have the most opportunity for that sort of growth and innovation and disruption still?
There's a lot of them. It's interesting. Every customer meeting that we have, we try to, I don't want to say extract information because that sounds horrible, but make them comfortable to share with us what they're looking at, what their challenges are, so that we can help. And in hearing things, there's massive challenges with visibility. Craig talked earlier about all the different parties involved in many of these transactions. It's just tough to share information when you have that many stakeholders involved. That's where we're focused in collaboration and making that easier. But you look at, payments and, just collecting data, but we're getting better as, I guess, an industry or even throughout the supply chain at collecting data. But it's what do you do with it after that? How do you drive actions? How do you turn all this information into a result, not just a bunch of numbers, right? Yeah. And so there's a lot of opportunities. It's a it's a really fun time to be in this space right now because of all the opportunities and because of the openness of the business operators for change, for innovation, for progress. It's truly a blast every single day to talk to our customers and hear about the great things that we can do together.
Yeah, I think your story is exciting. In particular, you didn't come from this industry. You came from something completely unrelated and just saw a need for it based on your own experience in sort of that consumer goods world and needed to create and ship products and the deficiencies that were there, and how do you solve for it? And that was the spark that got you to where you are now.
Yeah. I think whether you are directly in the logistics space or in kind of the greater global trade space, or if you're in a CPG company or a heavy manufacturer, this impacts everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody is moving goods from one place to another, and so being kind of an outsider looking in or experiencing some of the pain from, I guess, the periphery was the beginning of this, and it's been a lot of fun ever since.
Well, I think the interesting thing there is that, again, not coming from this industry, but being sparked by it and just taking that initiative to go ahead and, no fear, jump into it is what I really admire about where you are right now.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage, maybe a lot of foolishness too, to jump in initially, but we've been lucky to have great early customers, and we truly have innovated kind of market first. Mm-hmm. So we spent a lot of time early on before we really even built anything in front of a customer and just listening and gathering information, saying, okay, well, if we build something that has these characteristics or these capabilities, we know there are at least a few people who will buy it.
Yep.
And so that definitely helped make it easier as kind of outsiders in this space.
What I think is a young company that's trying to figure out really what you need to do and what you're building and understanding the industry in general, asking questions first is a big piece of making that happen.
Yeah, it's critical. I think the idea of listening to customers, it's funny how novel it is. We interact with a lot of startup founders on a daily basis. You could throw a rock in San Francisco and hit 65 startups, right? And so many people build technology first and then try to force it into a market, right? Mm-hmm. The product market fit is this big thing. Well, if you do what the process that we took was talk to customers first, figure out what the market needs, and then build to fit the market.
Yep.
And innovate that way. Product market fit for us was very natural and very easy because the market was telling us what to build. So we didn't have to try to figure out who the buyer was. We knew because they were the people we were talking to from the very beginning. And that's what I would tell most startup founders is forget about investors, forget about partners, forget about other people in the ecosystem. Focus on the customer. At the end of the day, the customer is the one who's going to pay your bills and keep the lights on. So listen to them, build for them, develop for them, and make them successful, and in doing so, your business will be successful, and that's been critical to us since day one.
Perfect. I think you kind of just answered one of my next questions, and you maybe have something to add to it. What advice would you give a young tech startup today that's looking to get in front of investors, prospective customers, or partners?
Yeah, the customer centricity is so critical. Everyone gets caught up with raising money. And I've made some comments that maybe ruffled a little bit of feathers, but the idea of raising money and, we're a startup, we have to just raise, and you got to get in front of investors immediately. I think people rush and jump the gun there. The patience and again, just focusing on the customer. If you bring customers and you're growing your business from your customers and making your customers successful, partners will come, investors will come. Employees will want to come work with you and be a part of what you're doing, but it all circles back and starts with the customer.
Good. One last question before we depart here. Do you have any last-minute advice for the presenters backstage that are bravely preparing to come out here and entertain this audience with live demos of their technology?
Well, I'm a little biased because we're presenting, so hopefully we win again. But it's almost too late for the advice I would give, which is prepare. Our key to success in any public forum or presentation is preparation, right? Yeah. Practice. But today it's really just have fun, right? All the practice that you've been putting in, the dev time, all of that. This is, it's game day now. This is where you have fun, and so just enjoy it. Enjoy the reception, enjoy the interaction with people after the demo. That's where it's really fun, when people get excited about your product and come to the booth. Yeah. So have fun today and just enjoy the experience.
And take advantage of the networking for sure. And as
Definitely.
and I've been in your position as a young company at an event like this, the networking is everything. And
Meet everybody you can.
If you're on stage presenting your technology and it resonates with the audience, they're going to seek you out and come and talk to you. So,
Definitely.
yeah, well, good. I appreciate your time for this.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.